Welcome back to Dreams of the Nameless, where our government builds concentration camps that absolutely resemble concentration camps from World War II, and yet the right doesn't seem to think that they're concentration camps in this dystopian moment.
Ocasio-Cortez had an Instagram feed a little while ago where she said, "This administration has established concentration camps on the southern border of the United States for immigrants, where they are being brutalized with dehumanizing conditions and dying." Of course, the right isn't taking this. They're not happy about it at all. The statement, she's come back and tried to clarify that it's different than the death camps and so forth. But I think she had it right in the first place. I don't really think she had to walk it back. In point of fact, the U.S. is actually, I think we talked about this, and if not, we should mention it here. We are now using one of the internment camps from days of yore when we imprisoned Japanese people for being Japanese. We're now using one of those for storing immigrants and children on the border. So we're literally taking what was a concentration camp and putting people in it again and saying, no, it's not a concentration camp. It's okay. I have an article from The Federalist by this asshat David Harsiani or something. I don't know. His name's stupid.
Doesn't matter what his fucking name is.
Yeah.
As I blow a spit bubble.
Basically, his claim is that if we look at what actually happened at German concentration camps and how there were pits where they threw the dead bodies and there were hundreds of thousands of people that died, and the gases from the rotting corpses would float for miles and so on, we're not doing that, so it can't possibly be a concentration camp, and it's insulting to the memory.
I knew it. Sorry, go ahead.
Oh, and so it's insulting to the memory of Holocaust survivors and to the World War II and so forth, that because we aren't actually dumping the bodies into pits and allowing them to decompose and allowing their scent to spread for miles, or we're not marching them into gas chambers.
Right,
It's
so
not
the correct way to, from the perspective of the American right, the correct way to honor the memories of the victims of the Holocaust would be to quarantine it off as a memory and mourn it. I can't do bigger, if I need bigger hands to do more ridiculous scare quotes, to quarantine it off and basically say, what's that shit that they say all the time that makes everybody, what makes me rage? Thoughts and prayers. Mm-hmm. You give it that kind of treatment, and then you just assume it can never happen again because we evolved past that. We went full evolution mode and became something different where it's just not a possibility anymore. Whereas anyone who has more than 2 brain cells can tell you that the correct way to honor their memory is with constant vigilance. Make sure that it never happens again to anyone else. And so when things that so closely resemble concentration camps, just perhaps minus the actual mechanized death, that's the next step. So that's why as soon as it starts to resemble a Nazi concentration camp, you start screaming. That's the correct response. And anyone who tells you otherwise is a fucking Nazi.
Yeah, basically, I mean, I can't really add more to that other than to say, I think he has a point in that the Nazi camps were the severe end of a spectrum. But we have the camps. Like, step 1 is possess a camp where you imprison people without reason. And then step 2, you kill them. Like, we're not at step 2 yet, but we're letting them die. And we're treating them horrendously.
I don't know any conservative, and this is absolute brutal, straight up honesty. There are no conservatives in my life who have not at one time or another expressed their direct sort of nonchalance and sort of carefree attitude towards the idea of just shooting people at the border. I don't know a single conservative who has not uttered some kind of a phrase like, "I'd just shoot him," or "Would it be so bad if we just protected the borders?" or some other slogan that essentially means, I'm just not really opposed to killing these people. So, Again, this guy, whatever his fucking name is, he's a Nazi. He's a fascist. He's a piece of shit. What's his name?
David, let me scroll back up here. David Harsani? I don't know. And of course, like, there's a picture of him, and the nebulous black and white picture, like, he's a middle-aged dude with glasses, and is black and white, and, like, other than the uniform, like, it looks like a picture of a Nazi. Like, I mean, maybe I'm being hyperbolic.
Well, he's saying
here,
exactly what you would expect a Nazi to say.
Yeah, like, he looks like a Nazi. And he goes on at one point, he even says, their analogies are embarrassingly ignorant and intellectually lazy. Like, really? You're gonna accuse us of intellectual laziness? I mean, that's an oxymoron, or what's the proper terminology? Like, is that irony? I don't know.
Yeah, what the fuck is he talking about? Top scholars from, I know at least from Harvard and Yale have written extensively on the comparison between the Nazi Germany and our current sort of political epoch, the Trump administration, etc. Timothy Snyder being one of the most prominent of those. So the idea that this fuckbag is his intellectual dick is bigger than Timothy Snyder? That's what he's saying? Timothy Snyder his comparison is intellectually lazy. I don't remember exactly what he is. He's some professor of something, emeritus, etc., etc. I mean, he's about as profoundly honored, credentialed, whatever it is. And so the idea that this comparison is intellectually lazy is a bold-faced lie. The reason that this comparison is being made is because it's fucking apropos. That's why.
Yeah, I mean, and literally the only thing that's missing is the mechanized death. Like, the policy, the procedure, literally we're imprisoning people into horrendous conditions.
He's playing the I'm not touching you game.
Yeah.
He's playing the I'm not touching you game. It's the favorite game of both religious fundamentalists and American Christian right-wing idiots alike. They love to play the I'm not touching you. We can build the concentration camp. We can fill it with people. We can start starving them, giving them malnutrition, separating families. They call them fucking ice boxes. The people who they put in there. What's the Spanish word for it? Hilarias? I'm probably pronouncing that wrong. I apologize. Anyway, it means ice box or cooler. And so, when are we supposed to criticize? When's the correct time to start making the hey guys, it looks like you might be starting some concentration camp shit going on here. At what time is that the appropriate thing to say? How far do they have to go? Do we have to wait until X number of people have been murdered?
Yeah, do we have to wait until there's literally a pit full of dead bodies? I mean,
because several children are already dead.
To my mind, it's undeniable. The comparison is clear. I don't think it's a bad analogy. It's not intellectually corrupt. And if not now, when, as you're putting it? I think we more than ever are presented with a regime that must be confronted on all fronts. And that's not to say that there's nothing good happening in the government, but so far, every time we turn around, there's a story about concentration camps, about the way that it's illegal to give kids water in the desert, the way that we are mistreating some group of minorities or refusing to give rights to people. I think these are all part of a larger scheme that fit right in to tyranny. We've talked about that before. It's a tyrannical move. It's the type of thing that despots have done and continue to do. Someone must oppose it, and when are we supposed to do that if not today?